I'm just an old man that has made a lot of mistakes. And usually it takes making mistakes to gain some wisdom and insight as to how to avoid them. So if I can pass along anything that might make somebody's life better, then that makes my life more fulfilling. But don't listen because my life will be more fulfilling. Because once I make the video and put it out there, I've done my part. Listen to make your life more fulfilling. And hold on to what you think applies and throw away what doesn't. It doesn't have to be this way, folks. We were not put on this planet just to survive. We were put on this planet and made in the image of God to thrive. And to thrive, you have to learn not to stick the fork in the electrical outlet. And yes, I did that. Trust me, it does not bode well. You only do that once. I've never met anybody that's done it twice. But just because I did it doesn't mean you have to. That's my point with my unfinished life advice. Just listen and think, boy, I can't believe this guy, he's an idiot. But learn from it. So when you see, if you subscribe and you see I put a new video up, and I plan on putting one up about every week or so, check it out. You might walk away with a little bit of wisdom, or you might walk away laughing thinking this guy is the biggest dummy that there is. And if he can live to 70, then I can. But don't stop living, folks. An education doesn't stop once you graduate high school or once you get your college diploma. An education is a lifelong thing. One of my favorite things to do when I was younger, we didn't have the internet back then. We had to actually go to a place, and it's called a library. And they had these fantastic books. They had volumes of them. And it started at A and it ended in Z. It was called the Encyclopedia Britannica. And one of my favorite things to do was to sit down with it. And they had some comfortable chairs positioned around the building. And it was usually a very big book. I would just grab wherever I left off the last time I was there. And I would sit down and open it up. And I would do what my father was someone that believed life is a journey, and you have to constantly be learning and improving so you can be up to the task for the next station, this next day. And so he took an Evelyn Wood speed reading course. I remember because he would go through books in an hour. And I'm thinking, how can you possibly retain that? But many times I picked up a book and I said, page 35, and he would do one of these. And then he would start quoting what was on page 35. I have no idea how he did it. I get up to go to the kitchen. And as soon as I turned the corner in the hall, I forgot what I got up for. And this man, almost to the day he died, he could do that. But he taught us how to do the Evelyn Wood speed reading. And so I would sit at the library and I would read the Encyclopedia Britannica. I would do the speed reading. Now, my comprehension level wasn't nearly what his was. But what it did was I would speed read until I found something interesting that really interested me. And then I would sit and absorb it and read it. It was totally useless information. But that's what I found interesting. And all my life I've been like that. When I was in the service, I used to read some of the manuals. I was a firefighter, crash rescue in the U.S. Army. And I was so worried that I would not know what to do in an emergency that on my own time, I took the firefighting academy class over. I would sit in on the class whenever I had free time. And it finally got to the point where I could teach the class. And in fact, the instructor one day got a phone call and he said, "Cobb, get up here, take over." I said, "I can't teach this class." He said, "Don't be ridiculous. You've taken it 10 times. You know how to." And he said I did okay. But I found it interesting. Sometimes, like the fire department, I was worried that I would hurt someone or someone would die because I didn't know what to do. I was extremely young, far, far too young to be in the service. But I went back to the class because I wanted to be good at what I did. And when I would sit at the library, people thought I was insane. My generation was out listening to, well, they were listening to the Monkees at the music. I did too, to a point, but my interest was in learning something. It wasn't a productive day if I didn't learn something. So don't get me wrong. I mean, I had plenty of days sitting in the crotch of a tree, listening to my transistor radio with an earphone, the little tiny earphone with a wire, and the transistor radio was just slightly larger than a pack of cigarettes. And I would sit in that crotch of the big oak tree and just watch the clouds go by. It was summertime. We lived in the country. But I just watched the clouds go by and listened to music. It was calming. And yet, it was also educational. I got to know what storm clouds looked like because I got to learn how to climb down from a tree very quickly. One clap of lightning and you know how to get out of a tree quick. But so I've always been one to try to learn. And I think it's time that I pass some of that on. Because none of us will be here forever. There will come a day when my tomorrows will be no more. And that's just the reality of life. There was a time when I would have run out the door if you told me that. But now, it's sort of the reality. So many people that were important to me have passed on that you understand that that's all part of living. But if I can pass something on that can make someone else's life better, more fulfilling, and I can save you from putting a fork in a wall outlet, then it was worthwhile. So stop by, and I'll keep making them if people keep coming. I'll have my next video out in about a week. This was just trying to give you a little introduction, and we'll see how it goes. Bye now.